All right, y'all, we are live. Have a great meeting.
Good morning. I'm Robin Rains, and I would like to welcome you to the February 5th Downtown Design Review Committee meeting. The Downtown Design Review Committee is a part of the Downtown Commission, and our goals are to review projects for design-related compliance in the downtown area of Asheville. All committee members and staff are participating virtually. We appreciate your patience as we work through committee meetings a bit differently. We are streaming live on our virtual engagement hub, which is accessible through the virtual engagement hub link on the front page of the city website, and also linked on the committee page on the city's YouTube channel. For those of you out there with us today, welcome. I will now go through and introduce all the committee members who are participating virtually today. Please make sure to mute your microphone if you are not speaking. When you have a question or would like to speak, unmute your microphone. Please remember to mute your phone after you are done speaking. Committee members, as I call your name, please say a quick hello. Brian Moffitt.
Hello.
Stephen Lee Johnson.
Hello, good morning.
We have one agenda item today, and that is a continued review of the 4 Point Sheraton project at Woodfin and Central Avenue. Additionally, I'd like to ask committee members to raise your hand to speak, and I will call upon you. The design team, Peter Albrese, and I see Warren from CDC. They're here, and they will share their screen and go through the slides for presentations. And I'll let you have it, Peter.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Again, we appreciate very much the opportunity to present the project to the Downtown Commission's Design Committee. And we just want to make sure, first of all, everyone can hear me. Okay, thank you. We're experiencing some broadband problems here, and our internet speed has been choked down to about a quarter of what it typically is. So we may lose our ability to show the model, but we have sent images to Warren, who would be able to share them with everyone on the call if that does happen. But what I'd like to do now is to bring everyone up to date on what we have been working on since the last meeting. This is the third meeting that we've participated in. As we've worked on the project, the design has evolved in a direction where we have taken as many of the comments that you have suggested, and we have tried to incorporate them into the overall design of the project. Right now, we are anticipating that sometime April, May timeframe, we would be coming to the Downtown Commission for either one or two reviews, depending on how everything goes on our schedule over the next couple of months. But right now, we're anxious to get your feedback on the design, incorporate whatever changes we need to make into the design, and continue to bring the project forward. So what I'd like to do, we're going to try an experiment. I'm going to turn the presentation over to Sid Jaggers, who's in our office at another workstation, and she's going to show us the computer model. Okay, that's the 3D model rendered in Enscape. But what we're going to try to do is to do a tour of the outside of the building and show you what changes we've made since our last meeting. Starting at the corner of Woodfin and Market, which is to the center right side of the screen, we again have developed the design in a way where we're breaking the mass of the entire project up into multiple building elements, and we've carried that forward into a little bit more detail. What you're seeing now is another iteration of the design suggestions, including, of course, continuing the concept of having a curved wall at the corner, along with the amenity space up on the roof. We're showing the entry into Earth Fair, some signage. But the main feature of the design that's changed since our last meeting is what we're proposing to do along Woodfin Street. So it had been suggested that the street be narrowed to allow for some on-street parking and additional landscaping along the whole length of the street, which we've done here. On the eastern side of the building, we're showing parking for 4 spaces, along with a retail space at the corner that's large enough to either be one larger space or subdivided into 2. We're showing some outdoor plaza space with potential seating if that tenant is a cafe or coffee shop or some use that's in food service or a small restaurant. And moving back towards the west, we've realigned the driveway entry and articulated that a little bit more so that it's facing Woodfin. We have narrowed the street to allow for the parking, but to the west of the Woodfin Street entrance, we're back to the double lane access to get onto I-240 east. So what you're seeing here is a widened sidewalk, expanded landscaping, opportunity for tree cover, potential tree cover to replace what is there now with enough area to plant trees of similar size to what is currently on the site. We've articulated the window openings, the balconies, doorway entrances from the street, masonry coursing, and generally taken it to another level of detail for consideration, along Woodfin. If we turn around, take us over to Central Avenue, we'll show you what we're thinking about there. One of the comments that we had received in the last meeting is what to do about the pedestrian experience coming up Central Avenue. And what we've decided to do is we're going to extend the parking underneath the plaza area and have more of a structured plaza deck which would have an end wall facing Central Avenue that's going to be more of a stepped landscaping type element. We need to keep the plaza area secure. We can't have people coming in off the street onto that plaza space for security. And we didn't want to just put a blank wall. So we're suggesting there that some form of stepped landscaping be incorporated along that whole part of the building where the plaza occurs and extended across part of the end of the existing hotel building, which we're still working on designing. The exterior, again, of the existing hotel building will be redesigned and is in the process of being integrated into the overall project, but we haven't completed that yet. But for today's discussion, I'd like to talk about what we'd like to do on the portion of the project that is to the south of the exit doorway coming out of the east end of the hotel. So that's what we're showing there. If you notice, across the bottom of the building, there's a darker band of masonry that forms a base, and that becomes part of the base of the landscape element on Central Avenue and wraps around as a curve across the front of the building on Woodfin. And then we're taking that same building element all the way across the building over to the west elevation. Yeah, it starts at the plaza and then loops all the way around to the other end of the building on the west side. I apologize, it's just hard to move the model with slow internet access. But we're taking the same base material and taking it around the base of the building and then around to where the Earth Fair part of the building is. And taking it around the corner to the element that is the west side of the project and stopping it at the recess where the building elements change or the building blocks change. So what we're doing now is with that features to try to tie the project together at a point where there's more pedestrian interaction and have it read as a single design building element, but at the same time maintaining the different building blocks that we've incorporated into design from the very beginning. So right now, let's stop for a minute and Robin, we can take some questions because there's a lot to absorb here, but I'd like to get feedback from the group if you're all ready to make some comments.
Okay, Brian, Stephen, do you have anything? Stephen?
Yes, thank you, Robin. Over on Central Avenue, Peter, that treatment over there is looking really exciting. Just one suggestion as y'all kind of move forward into design. I think that what you may have here getting set up here is a great opportunity for large upright evergreens in those planters and in front of the old hotel there that's being redone. It's just something that it's like really calling out right now. And just a mixture. And but that is a really interesting form that's taking place there. I think it's a big statement to make, and I really appreciate you responding to the comments last week. I think it's going to take. This is a memorable, identifiable spot, and I think it's going to take that to really make it special. And I think these forums are starting themselves up to do that. So thank you for looking into that. This is looking really interesting.
Brian?
Can you swing around so I can see, like, as I come up Central into that corridor, the other direction? Thank you so much. Yeah. So I know you guys really haven't started working on the old hotel and stuff yet, but like that blank wall you do own and you have thought about into the courtyard. That looks like that's going to be an interesting space. Peter, I can't remember what you're doing inside the courtyard. What is that? What is the function of that space itself?
Yeah, it'll be an outdoor space. There'll be a small pool there and outdoor furniture, place for people to be outside. And we want to keep it secure. And
sure.
Which is the reason that the wall is there.
Yeah, well, I really like the combination of landscaping and kind of built elements. I like the way you've really started to pull this together, and you've really addressed the corner as Central hits Woodfin. But it's this approach right here that I'm still thinking like that. I keep getting you on these blank walls, but like that blank wall that I'm looking at as I'm coming up Central. What's behind that, Peter? Is that space that can have fenestration?
No, it's an exit stair and some service areas. Yeah, we've looked at that. The windows that are currently there are at the end of the hallway, but on either side of it, there's no opportunity to really punch in the opening. So what we're thinking is that we need to obviously do something to that wall, but I'm not sure what would be it. We talked about putting some type of green screen or climbing planted element, but it faces east, so it's not going to get sun a lot of the time during the day. And then we
Peter, I think Brian's talking about the red brick new wall.
I am.
It's
the one that you control right there. I'm thinking about that one. Like, what is that programmatically?
There's an exit stair behind it. There is an opportunity where we could possibly punch an opening to the right as you're viewing it. But what we're thinking about is, since that's masonry, is to articulate that wall using masonry with either angling the brick or projecting it or building some type of brick pattern within it that could be not an applied mural, but something actually part of the masonry.
So some kind of bas relief or something like that. I would really
Yeah.
think about like how both pedestrian and all the traffic coming from Central into town. I mean, this is kind of local traffic for the most part, but it's almost like you've turned your back on that side as you approach it. You've really thought about the Woodfin approaches, but I would like for you to think about this one a little bit more. But I echo Stephen Lee's. This is coming along on how you've created some separation, but you've softened it by really thinking about it with that courtyard and this pedestrian experience. So good job on that. Can you swing around so I can see that your little plaza right here at the? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I like that very much. It feels like it's got good visibility, but you've got some decent separation too. I don't really have a lot of comments on that one. It looks like you've picked up most of what we've discussed in terms of massing and articulation and fenestration, guys. Can you swing back around to the main kind of site internal, the two big blocks of buildings? Wait for the sun to come out. There we go. Okay, so there were a couple of comments we received that I wanted. I don't know, Robin, if you're supposed to go through these or us, or even if we're supposed to. Are we supposed to go through the public comments?
I don't know.
This is Sasha. I would just say, I think it's appropriate to, since I've sent, just so everybody who's watching this, I sent all the public comments we got to the committee members and the design team. I think it's appropriate to do as you're saying, and just like, I started highlighting them and just looking, go through which ones there are some comments we received who are not relevant to design review.
Right.
But we could go through anything, there were some loading comments, and go ahead. I think we could just make sure we try to cover.
Yeah, I just wanted to try to make sure we covered those, Peter, so that we've got that in the record for you guys. And so I was going to take that off Robin's plate. So they want to know what the elevation is in feet of the roof, the condo building planned along Woodfin.
Well, we know what that exact number is, but I'd have to go into the Revit model to give you the exact date on it.
Okay.
But
Well,
because that question is going to come up a lot. And
it will.
All of our elevations are based on mean sea level elevation points.
Right.
So we'll
Okay. They're looking for that. There's a question about where you are planning for unloading, unloading deliveries, trash collection. I thought I saw on the site plan that was internal to the site back around the other side, but I could be wrong.
We're still looking at that. Right now, there are 2 points that we're looking at for trash collection. One would be internal to the building. We're thinking now that it needs to be accessed from the existing parking lot with some type of internal trash management system within the building. So it would come down on the inside corner of the L, right in there with right in that
Makes
area.
sense. Okay. Those are not. There was one that I thought I saw, Sasha, that was related to where the rooftop equipment was going to be located. And I thought, Peter, you had addressed that before, that you actually have a lot of the rooftop equipment, or at least thought about, like where you're putting your chillers and things, or what cooling towers, whatever you're putting up there.
We obviously will need to screen the equipment. We're not sure what it's going to be yet. It may be a combination of chillers and variable refrigerant volume equipment, depending on what our consulting engineers recommend. But we're obviously fully aware of the requirement for screening equipment, which we will do. And
you got a couple of placeholders sitting up there now, correct?
Yes.
That's what okay.
Yes.
Yes, and my only comment to that was, I think the person didn't realize that is a requirement in all our downtown projects.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I think, Sasha, that is the bulk of the public comment stuff that I saw that we would have purview over. Is that correct?
I guess I would just say that generally there's concern, and it seems to be, these might all be from residents of 60 North Market. There's general concern about the scale and height of this project. I was here when their building was built, and it was quite a dramatic thing for our downtown as well. And I'm not trying to discount those points of view, but just know that any change in our downtown skyline affects people, and that it's different. And so, yes, that's all. I'll stop there.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so I just wanted to get that kind of recorded, so you had that, and then I think there was also questions that we don't really have purview over. Things about like when you're having a neighborhood meeting and stuff like that, but those are all part of your process that you will be going through as you go through planning and zoning, technical review committee, and other items. So I'll try to keep my comments to this. So really, the remaining thing that I kind of see is that in the image that we're looking at right now is kind of what is that blank red wall on the corner as you're coming? Yes, that one right there. Thank you, Sid. And then if you could slide back around, this is not so much a design, but you articulated your porte cochere a little differently than you have been, and I just wanted to look at it. Not so much because I have comments. I just was trying to see what was going on.
Yeah, Brian, right now, that's a placeholder.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
we need
it
to have
looks.
something. Yeah, one thing that anything that interfaces with the existing hotel needs to be coordinated with Marriott.
I got you.
Marriott is going to have input into what that porte cochere cover looks like. And so right now we're keeping it's in the model as a placeholder until we can begin getting into that that level of detail.
Well, I was going to make a suggestion that you either make it more contextual with the architecture you have or less, because right now it's kind of just sitting there.
Got it. Yeah. Yes, it is.
I'm still digging the balconies, the little open end facing towards downtown on the outbound ones, and then all of the insets. I think that's coming together. I think it's better, Peter. Do you think it's better?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're very happy with it. And again, it's having the input from this committee has been extremely helpful in helping us advance the project. So
Ken, one thing we talked about, can you zoom around towards the right so I can see this little corner where Earth Fair comes in? Too far, I'm sorry. That one wall, I was still feeling like last time, and I can't remember what it looks like. And I got glare on my screen.
Brian, we fixed it. What we did, that's back to the strategy of having a base of the same material wrapping around.
Yeah.
So we've aligned the walls. We've allowed the element where the Earth Fair sign is to die into the masonry of the tower element to the left-hand side. So
I like it.
It wraps around. It simplified it, and we feel it works a lot better.
Okay. And I saw you had signage up at the top of that little sliver. That I think that feels like that resolves that piece for me. Okay. Yeah, I got you. I see it now. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can you go to your right in the model, Sid? The other juxtaposition between these two buildings that face Woodfin. Thank you. Oh, now that. Do you want to do something? Zoom around right there. Stop. It almost feels like, so that feels like it's the same element that then reaches over as part of that, the upper piece, but the planes don't align, and that's bugging me.
They can't, because it's programmatically, the vertical piece is, we have to keep that back because we need windows on the inside of that.
Yeah. Here, just a thought. What if you brought in the same plane the upper piece? Oh shoot, you can't see my fingers. I'm doing architecture here. That upper piece that aligns with your storefront on the rooftop garden. If you brought that same plane out, so that it was like right there. It's so that it felt like it, you kind of had that eyebrow, but then it really joined those two things together. Because that really feels like that piece wants to go up and over, and you would kind of mirror the two planes a little differently. I know you're doing it with the materials, but I'm still feeling like as I look at it, it's like, well, something's not quite joining. I know I'm getting nitpicky, Peter. I don't mean to. It's just this is fun.
Okay. Brad, we'll look at that. There's programmatic reasons why those walls don't align. But
I'm not saying they have to align. I was saying you bring an eyebrow from the rooftop garden over. Yeah, right where her cursor just went. Yep.
Okay.
In the same plane. Yeah. Just to kind of pull those two elements into juxtaposition.
Okay, we can look at that. Sure.
It would also do this thing. So right now you've got, at least in my eyes, you've got a clear horizontal and a clear horizontal for the two buildings, and then that element would, because it pops up over top of both of them, you've got the different horizontals going on. It kind of pulls it all. It interrupts it a little bit differently. Anyway, something to look at. Okay, I'm going to quit.
Thank you. I really only have, I agree with the wall on Woodfin. I think that I agree with everything Brian and Stephen Lee said about the Woodfin side. My only other comment is that this redder brick part on both sides, I still want it to have a cap or be a little taller or something different with the scale of the brick portion above the window.
Okay.
And that's just, I don't know. Every time I look at it, I want it to have a cap, something more substantial or a different kind of design feeling than the rest of the caps. And that's the only thing I have.
Okay.
Are you talking about the actual building itself or just above the window, the punched openings?
Well, I think the whole building, the whole red or orange building needs some kind of cap on the wall. But I also wish there was a little more space above that top window. To me, it feels like there's the amount of brick above the top window feels squatty to me, but only on this red portion. It works on the curved portion for me, but this red or orange building, I wish there's a little more breathing room before the parapet stops.
Robin, one thing we can do to address that is, and I agree, it is a little thin up there, but if we put a lot of mechanical equipment up there, the safest thing to do as far as equipment maintenance would be extend that parapet up to 42 inches so people can work around there without, in a safe environment. And that would allow for some type of cap. So I think we agree with that. And that's something we'll need to address and there's no way we will not have equipment up there. There just isn't enough roof area to accommodate that.
Right. Yeah.
Robin, I think that's a great comment. And I have a question. Would that, if it had when you say cap, do you mean like something like a darker band that kind of, or does it say, go ahead.
I'm just thinking like a little bit of ornamentation on the top. I mean, instead of just like a metal flashing cap, I want that building to have a little more hefty cap. So it could be, a couple layers of brick before the metal parapet cap flashing, or, I mean, just something a little more substantial than the rest.
Are you, so they have this darker band of on the building to the left where they at the storylines and then they end with that. Are you looking for something like that, similar to the story band that they have on this red building? Because honestly, I kind of like the modernity of just the contemporary box, maybe with just a taller. Would that do it, or are you looking for the actual different color horizontal band on that, Robin?
I don't know. It could be the squat, because it's really the squattiness that bothers me. I just feel like the amount of brick above those windows, it just doesn't feel right proportionally to me. So maybe that would fix it, but I just feel like something needs to be on the top there. I don't know.
Okay. With that, the green roof that we can kind of see to our right, it's going to have some kind of railing, correct?
Yes, or a parapet of some kind.
Okay.
Something. Yeah. Well, one thing, Robin, to keep in mind with this building element, we still have the issue of articulating the brick on the courtyard side on that blank wall. And maybe what we do there is similar to what we do up at the parapet. So it maybe maybe it's a brick articulation strategy that ties all that together. And it's not just a one-off thing on one wall, that it's carried through the upper part of the building as well.
Maybe you play with corbelling and recesses with that to give it some shadow lines.
Yeah.
Peter, what's the material? As I'm looking at this, the jambs on this building are shown as white. Is that just like a metal flashing? What is that? Is that part of the?
You mean at the where the windows are?
Yes, sir.
They're to be determined. What you're looking at, the white band, is actually the model is built with flat planes overlaid on a Revit. So what we're not seeing is the return of the brick. So they'll be, wherever the masonry is, it'll return back to the frame of the window, and the windows will be some type of aluminum extrusion that will either be clear anodized or some type of bronze anodized or some color. But what you're seeing is just because this is a sketch model, it doesn't allow us to show brick returns.
That's too bad. I really like it.
Any other questions?
I did see some other questions. This is Sasha, about that may be more engineering related, and it was about curb cuts. This curb cut near 240. I think in a previous meeting, you said you were moving it back from the on-ramp. Can you clarify how much further back it's being moved? And also, just to clarify from your beginning, it sounded like the other one in the middle of the building, that curb cut is aligning with North Market now, I think. So those are my two.
The one in the middle of the building is aligning with the driveway going up to the Renaissance Hotel, which is what we were asked to do earlier on. So we have that now determined more accurately.
Right. Sorry, that made no sense. Okay.
Yeah. Warren, do you want to address the Woodfin curb cut?
Sure. So we got some good feedback from city transportation as well as some DOT on locations of all these entry points. And if we were to kind of go from the 240 area moving back east, if you will, we have a existing addition, larger entrance there today, and everybody's sort of been in agreement that we can make that opening, that main entrance more in fitting with standard driveway entrances, which will get us a little bit further away from that 240 ramp. It'll also just make a cross path there a little bit easier. And then as we look at the driveway going into the parking garage, sort of mid block, the request there was to line up with the road that is on the south side of Woodfin, so that we would have sort of a plus intersection. And then I know we had kind of taken the hint from this group and from other conversations of maybe making Woodfin a little smaller cross section and having those parking spaces along that retail area. We can't quite take that past the entrance to the garage, because we do need to have that dedicated right turn lane that starts to be for our entrance and also for the 240 ramp. So that's the opportunity there. And I will say one last thing while we're on sort of traffic transportation things. As you're kind of seeing here on the right side of the page, the intersection of Central and Woodfin, we had been asked to sort of, make that a little more formalized and a little better. And there again, there was a little extra pavement of Central, so we were able to bump that curb line out a little, getting those wider sidewalks and making it just kind of function a little bit better with some site visibility and parking that's already over there.
And I guess I will say just, we have heard a few concerns about traffic, and I think it's in a way you're making sure there's those two lanes leading up to 240. That makes sense, and kind of in that concern. There's another concern, and I know it's not pure design of the building. I mean, obviously, operational issues can affect design. So. There's also concern that the traffic studies will be done during COVID and won't be the same as, pre-COVID traffic. But just so you hear that, and I'm not expecting you to necessarily respond right now.
Okay. We take all that under consideration, and it's not new information. We're on top of all that. So thank you for the comment.
And I'm sorry I'm talking so much. I will say I did, some folks are commenting live and I get to see that, but nobody else does. But just to clarify for everyone, how height is measured in downtown is, I believe, from the primary pedestrian entrance to the floor of the top occupied story. So what it does not include is mechanical. So that's partly why mechanicals are so important to be screened. I guess part of the mechanical question was, could mechanicals be adding to the height of the building? And actually, not to alarm people, but you get your height, certain amount of height, and then there's a generous allowance for additional height for mechanicals. But this is well under the 145 feet allowed by right, or not by right, but in this height zone. So.
Does anybody else have any other questions? Stephen Lee, Brian, anything else?
I had one quick comment. If there are folks who are watching that are concerned about traffic, I think this is in terms of downtown and the central business district. This is like a perfect spot to add a lot more traffic. I think Woodfin Street is so underutilized right now and not over-designed, but it's designed to accommodate a whole lot more traffic. And given the change in use of the on-ramp or off-ramp to 240, how that doesn't exist there anymore, this is a part of town that can handle a whole lot more traffic. So I think that's another great reason that this density is going in this location. And that's the last comment.
I have a question, Robin. I'm sorry. I realized I was looking at this and I'm curious, Peter, if the mass of the building that is over 75 feet facing Woodfin, not counting the stepped back portion, is that over 140 feet wide, 45 feet long?
I'd have to check.
Okay. I'm not sure if, I need to go back and reread the code, but we need to, we might need to look at that.
Okay.
Okay, does anybody else have anything? Peter, do you have any more questions you'd like to see answered?
No. Again, thanks everyone for your time and information, feedback, and comments. Thank you.
Okay, well, if nobody else has anything, thank you for bringing this project again. It looks great. I will now adjourn the meeting unless there are any objections. Okay, so adjourn.